And we're live with Lou Smart, who chose to say, you know what, I'm going to be spontaneous. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to go live. So tell me, Lou, now that we're live on Facebook right now, how's your energy right now?
Well, pretty buzzy because we had a really great, I haven't met you before, but we've had a good
Right.
exchange and it was very sort of vibrant and spontaneous. And I think we both enjoy that and enjoy laughing. And I think, spirituality and that whole kind of history of spirituality has got a lot of weight to it. And I really like to lighten up, literally lighten up with the soul.
Yeah. Maybe
I feel really good.
Isn't as heavy as we thought it was.
No, not at all. I'm not
scared. Well, and I'm just loving your energy so much, Lou. Like the moment I joined this Zoom call, you were vibrant. Like I felt it. So thank you so much. So now I'm going to go into my epic intro, and you can share this on your profile and do whatever you need to do, whatever you need to do for the next minute or so. Okay.
Okay. Lovely.
All right. Well, let's do this thing. So welcome to Purpose Pioneers Live. I'm your host, Thomas Waterman. And before we dive into the show, I want to talk about why we do what we do. And we believe in a world where people fully align what they do to make money with what they do to experience meaning and fulfillment in their lives. It doesn't have to be greed on the weekdays, good on the weekends. We don't have to only do what we love as a hobby on the side. We can fully align using our gift and using business as a force for good at the same damn time. So with that, how do we do it? Well, we empower purpose-driven coaches just like Lou to craft their business from the purpose up so they can create that vehicle of impact and income with certainty, with confidence, with clarity, knowing they made the right decision to become a coach. Hey, Karina. Hey, Michael. Hey, Shirley. What is up? Shirley, is that one of your friends, Lou? I think so.
Yes. Hi, Shirley.
And why do we even do this show? Why do we do this show? That's the question. Well, we do it because coaches matter. They're on the front lines of transformation. They're helping people transform from the inside out. They're raising the consciousness of humanity, using business as a force for good, challenging the status quo and pioneering into the unknown, all that good stuff. And I want to champion the heck out of coaches. That's why I get up every morning. So that is why we have Lou Smart on the show, the soul alchemist, Lou Smart. So tell me, Lou, what is that transformation that you create in the world?
Well, I think it's about bringing people's awareness to their own personal energy. People are, people say they're empathetic and sensitive, and it's really transforming from being reactive in that sensitivity and empathy to the sovereignty, the power that's innately ours as really sort of like divine sparks. So I kind of think of, I like to use this analogy, it's like pictorial really, of like the sun being source, and we're like these rays of light, individuated rays of light that extend from that. And we're in material, that comes into our material form through the central axis of the body. It's called the central axis, that's a well-known term. And when that light really hits the body, it enters through the chakra system, and we carry lifetimes of information of unresolved and unhealed issues. So these need to be transformed, and that's the alchemy, really, is the alchemy of our emotional compacted energies that are stored literally in the physical body. And it's in the physical body that we experience the fullness of our soul light, that with when we really do the work and really take the time to do that, there is an opening up and a lightening up, like a sun from the inside out. So we become that solar sun from the inside out. It's really a warming up and a thawing out of what's been compacted over lifetimes, and particularly with trauma this lifetime. Does that answer your question?
And then some.
Okay.
Wow. Wow. So you said the word,
everybody?
You said the word alchemy. And
yes.
one of my favorite books is The Alchemist. That word just has this ring to it. And I feel like it could be perceived as this very pie in the sky word. So tell me, what is alchemy in a tangible way? Like, how can I be an alchemist in my life?
Well, it's literally transmuting in science, it's transmuting a baser metal into a higher metal. So the old alchemists, they turn metal into gold. And the spiritual language is, that's used a lot, the gold light, the golden light of God, the golden platinum light of God, the Christ consciousness. And it's crystalline consciousness that is this age. This is the feminine age, the new feminine age. It's brand new. It's not a repeat. It's brand new. So alchemy, sorry, am I shouting? Alchemy with what I'm doing is literally transforming in terms of emotions. It's your without judgment, let's just say the denser frequencies of the difficult contracted emotions like fear or guilt or shame. When you meet those energies in where they're held in the body, usually here or in the heart or in the throat, but anywhere actually, but those are very strongly in the gut, in the pain body, that's centered in the gut, solar plexus region. When that energy is met with unconditional love, so unconditional love meets a dense energy and unconditional forgiveness. So the equation is unconditional love plus unconditional forgiveness equals oneness. You move from the judgment of what's inside you to the release. You collapse the old matrix to build a new soul matrix. So that's sacred geometry in terms of emotion and alchemizing emotion. So I'll say it again, it's unconditional love plus unconditional forgiveness equals oneness. We move from judgment perpetuates the duality, the polarity, stuck in not wanting to feel this and over there chasing bliss. But you transform emotion, you alchemize emotion by going towards it with the soul, love, light. And that equation, I'll just say it again, is unconditional love plus unconditional forgiveness equals oneness. You collapse the judgment, and actually what you find is you lighten up into a sense of it's oneness with everything that's been and oneness with everything that you are now. If there's no judgment, you literally lighten up, and this is how we kind of jump exponentially, really, in terms of how we feel, but also we jump in terms of expansion and awareness, portals in the body, your ability to move into, I would say, without sounding crapshoot here, but we move into other dimensions of awareness that are expanded, and things that we didn't think were real before are real, and they're very, very tangible and very accessible. So you can't shortcut and jump into what everybody wants is all your sugar and the icing on the cake in terms of what's going to be spiritual bliss or out of body experiences. It's all in the body, and it's met with love and the alchemy of the geometry of that, but also working with the geometry of the body, the central axis and the other axes in the body, how energy comes in horizontally all into the solar plexus region. So you kind of you actually build your light body as a structure, like an architect, using geometry and transforming your own dense energy so that the light that comes through and expands becomes at a higher frequency. So it's still in the body, the dimension and the shifted dimension is still in the body, but it's a different experience. You kind of look out at life in a very different way. It's like going to the beach for a day and you feel, oh, whoopie-doo, but it stays, it's anchored in you as long term. It doesn't go backwards, it stays.
Well, that was epic, Lou. And
I lie down now.
Yes. I have a few insights and comments and thoughts on this. The first one is this idea of alchemy is raising, you said in terms of elements and chemistry, is becoming a higher metal. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Compound of some kind. Well, I feel like alchemy of the self is getting in touch with higher self.
Yes.
And essentially that's the metaphor, right?
Oh, absolutely. So when I say soul, higher self, yes, definitely, it's the aspect of us that's still in touch with its knowledge, the knowledge of source, and that is everything, you know, part of everything, and so that's oneness, that's wholeness. So yes, these are semantics, but I think it's really good. This is so great about having a conversation, is that, you know, often people can use language that means something very different to someone else, but in the end, you know, because this is non-linear, so your soul is non-linear, it's not, it's quantum and holographic, is that you how you feel and know something is not down to a word, but getting clear with language between two people, I think, is really helpful, especially when a lot of what goes on to get to this freedom is a pathless path. So in many respects, you kind of step out and step forward, not knowing, and you can doubt yourself. You know, that's one of the biggest pitfalls, I think, in the journey that I know that I'm on. You know, I've read a lot and studied a lot and worked on myself a lot, and especially when things get difficult, you can doubt yourself. So I think it's really great to talk, to have the conversations, to dispel, you know, some of the sort of catch areas, I think, where people don't know what's going on, don't understand the language. And when you can get that clarity, I think people help each other, don't you?
I agree completely. And I appreciate you sharing that thought, because I believe I've gone to where I think words are everything, and then I've gone to words don't matter at all. And now I'm realizing that words do hold a vibration. They do hold a frequency. When I speak, I'm setting a tone of some kind on the spectrum, per se. So there is feeling and energy that does get transferred through speaking. Words do matter. And also, you're right. I can't control what a word means to you. But if I speak a set of words to you, I can help you internalize and create meaning and move in a direction in your own path. I can't control that, but it does help. Like, I can guide in ways by sharing vibration, by sharing words. Another comment I had on what you were saying is stepping out of judgment. And this has been the most transformational part of my journey, especially over the last 3 months, is stepping out of judgment, stepping out of condemnation, and keeping an open heart. And what has happened is all my structures have crumbled. Yeah. All my ideas of who's good and who's bad, what's right, what's wrong, it has melted down. And now I every single day when I choose to say, you know what, I'm going to keep my heart open, even though it wants to close, like if somebody cuts me off on the highway or something, every time I do that, I feel the heal, and I feel the connection, and I feel the ascension in my own journey every single time. And it's not like I have to have this step-by-step process. All I have to do is keep my heart open. What do you think about that?
Well, I definitely agree. And it's a choice. You know, you kind of have to take a breath with, you know, our immediate responses. I think, you know, it's like when you if you stub your toe, there's an immediate kind of, I want to punch back. I think we have very, very natural instinctual responses like animals. But I also know that we can, you know, I can take a step back. You know, if I immediately want to sort of, because I've forgotten who I am, if I really want to sort of, there's just that instinct to strike sometimes in the judgment or accusation. And when you kind of take a breath and go, oh no, you know, really, they're not really saying that. That's not, and it doesn't have to be like that, because all of that defensiveness inside of us is like, it's like putting out the expectation of attack. So we kind of get it. So when you know what you're doing, both in terms of understanding and having compassion for that natural kind of what I call animal instinct, that's part of our human, that's okay. And also being too quick to judge, you can slow things down with the breath. So I agree totally with you. But I also know that people who've been through trauma, is that their capacity to move to that soft and open space that you're talking about, that open-heartedness, it's not as easy. For number one, a lot of ways that their biology has changed, has shifted, is that they're on red alert. So it's even beyond the kind of higher cortex, which is very mental and very strategic and very intelligent in that human sense, versus, you know, what you and I are talking about. There's, you know, we've obviously made that movement to, it's easy to open the heart, but it's not always easy for people that have been traumatized, because they're in threat mode, they're in high alert mode. And when you've got a lot of cortisol in the body, you change the heart rhythm and the brain rhythm. So you don't produce what you and I are talking. Physically, we produce something called DHEA, dehydroepiandrosterone. And that's like a sort of vitality hormone. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel confident. It makes you feel, it's generated by love. It's generated by acceptance and appreciation, which is that openness, isn't it? So I just wanted to say that it's not a sort of an immediate cure-all to our, you know, dualistic thinking. There is a process that many people will have to bridge, you know, and it's not that having trauma is it shuts them out of their higher consciousness. It's just a bridge, you know. It has to be passed through to continue, or to be, yes, continuously able to be in a heart open space.
Yeah, I appreciate you leaning into that, because that is it is so important to have empathy for people and the experiences they've had that maybe I haven't, and to understand that they have maybe a different journey or a unique journey to get to the same place. So thank you for leaning into that, Lou. I want to say a couple people here. Midge, who's in our program, she is a purpose pioneer rock star. She says hello. She is just a vibrant human. You would love her. Karina, another person fully stepping into her coaching ability, says, wow, preach, with the hands up emojis. She is feeling your vibe. Viva says beautiful. And that was a little earlier. So you are definitely resonating with people. Shirley says, yes, the energetic vibration of each word is unique. All right, so I get a little something there. That's beautiful. Powerful. So Lou, I know I could dive into 3 different things on that subject right now, but there's something I really want to talk about, and something that's really important and that I want to lean in with you about is the journey to where you are, and the journey to not only have done the work inside, but now to share that gift with others. It takes a story to get there. It takes experiences that cultivated wisdom and learning. And it took probably some hardship and struggle and joy and every emotion on the spectrum to get to where you are right now. So Lou, tell me, like, what were the events that took you to this place you are today?
How long have you got?
Give me like a few highlights here.
I think I remember back very, very young, I used to look out the stars. I mean, this is age sort of 6, 7. I'm fascinated by cosmology, the cosmos, you know, the enormity of it. And I suppose in those very young, I just used to pray to a God, you know. And I suppose the most, I think it was, I started as a dancer professionally. And when I finished my training, I don't think I realized that I'd been suppressing a childhood trauma. I'd worked my body, you know, to the bone. I was very thin, you know, because you hardly eat anything back in those days, and training, you know, self-care didn't really come into it. So I was really thin, undernourished, and I came out the other side of this degree, this dance training. And I remember lying on my bed and my body started shaking violently. And I thought, oh gosh, what's going on here? And I did sort of say, oh my, there's something very profound at a deep level. And at the same time, I'd started studying Tai Chi and Qigong, and I'd been to some workshops, and I'd seen this teacher. He was on stage, and his whole heart and lung area, there's this, literally, I could see the lung area, and it was luminous emerald green. So, and I was seeing auras, and it was like, oh gosh, I didn't know what was going on. So I was very curious, I was really curious. Wow. And age 40, I had a Kundalini experience, which was really, it ravaged me. I had no sleep for 3 months, or 1 hour a night on very, very big horse pill. It was a medication to just pacify, but it was horrendous. But tangential to that, there was my awakening to an awareness of past lives. My inner voice came through, and it was literally this. It was forgive everything and everyone for all time, forever and ever. And suddenly my entire body, I just the peace, it was beyond words. And then I had another experience in that episode where, it felt like a blinding light in the middle of my head. I mean, if you don't have sleep, it does send you a bit bonkers. And there was this blazing light in the middle of my forehead. And I said, please, God, take it away, or take me. I cannot tolerate this anymore. And it turned from this sort of blazing light, went into a little elliptical sphere about the size of a pea. And it was blue in the middle of this black space in front of me. It was a blue light, and it sang pure love. And I don't know how to express it any other than that. I've just never felt such bliss and peace. And so what happens when, and this is very common, people have heightened spiritual experiences, and then you kind of chase that. And I didn't realize, of course, when I had the base Shakti energy flew up, and I was a light, really. And I won't go into the whole story of that, but it was sort of both violent and huge, and at the same time this sort of bliss came through for me. And everybody chases what's comfortable, what's beautiful, what feels wonderful, but I didn't realize that at that stage what it is that I'd kind of stepped into. And sort of as life progressed and things didn't go the way that I wanted them to, that's when I really started to look at energy and my own energy and energy clearing, which is what I do for my clients, as well as my sessions, one-to-one sessions, to really look at what was going on in my own energy, and having to work through the trauma, which is a big deal, and getting the help that I needed, investing in myself and spending the time and really, really getting to grips with what self-love is all about, other than sentiment. And the for me, what it means is that if we're divine beings, then we are like divinity, and divinity is source love. So that's why we do self-love, because we become like the arm of divinity, and the arm of divinity of unconditional forgiveness, unconditional acceptance. So that's kind of where I've got to now. And I'm radical, I'm radical in that, I know I take full responsibility for what's happened to my life to date, because I know that's the only way that I'm going to get free. Because if I make anything that's happened about someone else, don't get me wrong, I'm not some person who never gets that wrong, because I do. But in principle, I know that that I'm my own source, and I'm going to be my own healer, and I'm going to be the one that reclaims my own sovereignty. And the way I like to talk about that term self-realization, I just say we realize the realness of ourselves by ourselves. That's what it is, self-realization. So that's kind of how I've got to where I am now. And I think we all need good signpost support. I think all the answers are within. I know that. But the signposts, if we ask for help, then the people and the circumstances and the books or the information presents itself. Always does present itself at the right time.
What do you think about the idea? Because I've toyed with this as well. This idea of I'm independent, I don't need anyone, I'm fully empowered, versus this idea of interdependence and we all need each other and we're all connected in that way. Do you think it's one or the other? Is it both and? Is it neither? What do you think about that?
I think that when we get to that realization that, you know, we're the center of our own universe, not in the, you know, not like the ego child self, but the, you know, the universe where the conductor and then the everything is the play, as it is in Shakespeare, it was, you know, everything. But you know, the people and circumstances that are showing up in our life at one vibrational frequency changes. I think it'd be really boring if I was just one person and that's it. I mean, I'd be really bored.
I don't use the B word.
It'd be really bored. I think that it's an odyssey, really, isn't it? When you think about, gosh, we come down and down again, do these lifetimes and go off in any other direction other than, you know, back to source. And I think it's a fantastical, magical capacity that, well, I don't think we know any, you know, one little iota of what we're capable of, what we're creating or what we're created. And the more you evolve, the more you realize two things. You realize how much you are that conductor of that reality. And you also realize how little you know about your own capacity. It's like, how the heck do these, you know, when you lose something and you go, okay, so I douse and there it is, you know, and something shows up and things just slot into place. Think that's magic at one level. And you can't think that. Well, you can create magic, of course you can, but you can't, we don't know how it happens fully until we go right within and start exploring. And you can't explore dimensionally until you've done that emotional clearing work, because you won't have access.
Right.
You don't have access to the information. Do you see what I'm saying? Is that you can't bypass.
Yeah.
You can't bypass your inner child work. You can't bypass trauma clearing, and you can't bypass, you know, and say it's all a story or it's an illusion.
Well, it's interesting. I used to think that self-growth was achieving some higher experience. Like, I am getting better. And what I realized for me, self-growth has just been clearing the blocks between me and my higher self, between me and my truth, between me and the knowing that has already, the abundant knowing that is already within me. So it's what a shift of, it's not getting to a new place, but it's getting back to home.
Absolutely. Yes. And the means are the ends. Going back home to love with love.
The means are the ends. Everyone, like, if you're watching right now, put that in the comments, write that on your wall. The means are the ends. That is so true. And
that's why I think it's so beautiful. It's very simple. That's very simple. It's not difficult. I mean, it is difficult to do because we've got so much resistance and so much, you know, identification with, you know, judgment and self-attack and self-rejection, which a lot of that happens well below the level of consciousness. But there are some very, very simple things that, especially, I think, it wasn't so clear for me until I'd kind of done the trauma clearing work, that, you know, the Shakti energy, the feminine energy is coming up from underneath. It's coming up through the earth. It's coming up through every particle of energy in the planet and through the physical vehicle of each body. So what that does is it pushes to the surface old, compacted debris that is not love. So that's when it feels like, oh gosh, you know, my world is falling apart.
It's a little messy.
Things are going wrong. And actually, if you can just know, even if you don't believe it, this is the thing I just want to share. I mean, it'll either resonate or won't, you know, if you can know that and say the universe has got your back, that I like to say it's like, love is the way, love is the answer, love is the action that's coming through us, and it's much bigger than we can possibly imagine. And relaxation, the physical relaxation of physical structure, when you relax the physical structure of the body, then you collapse the structures that have held separation in place, because it's, separation and polarity and duality, that's programmed genetically into our DNA. So you can change body structure and cellular structure through deep, deep relaxation. When you relax and the love can come up through, you will feel it if you really let go. It can come up and hold you, first of all. And then when you really let go, that's when you feel, that's when you know where your blocks are. And most of us feel it in the solar plexus and the power center. I mean, what's Eckhart Tolle calls it the pain body, and the bolus, the central kind of focus of that pain body is the solar plexus. So,
Lou, could we use the word, so instead of relaxation, or and complement to the word relaxation, surrender? Is that similar?
Yes.
Or is that different? Okay.
Yeah, but you might need to work through a systematic way of relaxing the body, depending on how tense your body is, to teach yourself to relax, so that you can then move to the, like, I allow this love to come through me.
Got it.
And it does teach.
Shirley's loving you, by the way.
You
are amazing, Lou. Love the magic. Need to keep doing the work. Yes, instant healing through love. I think. By
the way, have you recorded this? I didn't press record. Have you pressed record?
Oh, it's recording on Facebook, and I can download it from there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I got your back, Lou. Don't worry about a thing.
He's great, isn't he?
Jane Spencer says the means truly are the ends. Lou really does hold the healing space when working with her, with words, vibration, and energy. Boom.
Thanks, Jane.
Wow, that's a great reflection. But she's soaking this in, and thanks for being here with us, Shirley and Jane, and being present with us. You could be doing 1,000 other things in this interconnected, globalized marketplace of the internet, and you chose to lean in with us. So thank you so much. So Lou, one thing, and then I have a couple more extra special bonus questions. Okay. Is you mentioned, so I look at spirit and form. Spirit is the spiritual world, the higher dimensions, the unfathomable, the beyond my sensual, beyond my analytical capacity, all of that. And then form is very much like the human experience, the tangible, the stuff the neocortex plays in, the very real and sensual all around me. So there's spirit and form. And my question, what I'm seeing is, you talk about spirit, but you honor form so deeply. Like, I keep hearing you say the human experience, we come back down to these lifetimes, it's in the body. So my question is, why do we live in this human body? Why does the human experience matter? Because in my past, it was, I want to ascend into the clouds. That was like what I thought spirituality was. And now it's this more bodily experience. So tell me, where do you stand on that? Where do you feel on that?
Oh, it's a great question, that one. I knew you were going to ask that. I don't separate it, because matter, physical matter, where does that come from? You and I we don't remember making that. It's got here the same way that we got here. It's just in a different vibrational, it's at a different vibration. So physical matter vibrates more slowly than an emotion or a thought or an angelic frequency or a starsy frequency. It just vibrates at a different level. So the physical material density, the appearance of physical material density, sorry, that's my phone going ping pong, is that there's lots of different separate objects in space. So it basically shows us our experience of seeing it, and our acknowledgement of it is that it's all separate bits. And that notion of separation has come from our earlier source, separation from source. Once you start to integrate the light of the soul into the body, there's something that changes in your consciousness where you see things differently. You see vibration. The fact that there's this and then there's space, physical body space, that starts to break down. If you've ever had, I mean, like doing touches, that you start to see movement of energy. I can see movement of energy. I mean, not all the time because I'm not looking for it because I know what it's about, but you could see that there isn't such a thing as separation. And so that moves from being a nice cliche to being a reality. You've still got the human individuated form of the ray of soul light. If you look at light, there isn't any separation in light, is there? There's you think that your light separation is separate, but when you break it down, you go into the molecular structure of a particle of energy, there isn't any, there's nothing there in the center of a nucleus or a particle. It's all one. So the experience of that is, it starts to really become your own truth inside you. It's not something I don't talk to people about this, and I'm not saying that I feel that all day or anything like that. It's just I know it from what I can see. Yeah. And for me, the experience in human form is to remember the reality of our energetic soul energy and connect with it deeply, and to know through that you go back into that. And you can hear your higher self. Your higher self will tell you what you're here for. So, I mean, I'm not. I think a lot of people want to leave that physical reality. I'm happy to, be here physically and enjoy being in the body, enjoy my physical reality, and particularly, the frequency of nature, which is love. You can measure the frequency of nature. It's love. It teaches us. It doesn't have that. The mind aspect of nature isn't the same way as, our physical body. You look at birds, they don't judge each other. A tulip is not trying to be a daisy. A bluebird is not trying to be a parrot. There's this natural sort of state of sovereignty in nature that teaches us. And nature, the energy of nature, such a high vibration, especially by the sea where I am, that it basically fills up the spaces in us that have felt separation from love. We don't go to nature to offload. It's literally, we go to nature and it fills, you breathe it in, and it has a frequency. And if you keep going there, it actually starts to stick. And this is why people you go and heal, because it starts to build a resonance inside you that is implicitly whole. Nature is whole. It's not, I know that we've got pollution in nature, but oh gosh, I could go on for ages about it, because there's different ways that I kind of teach and learn myself with that we kind of learn through destruction of what we've either destroyed ourselves or what's the appearance of destruction outside of us. We learn to care for nature because it's just got this incredible power to connect us to this high energy that we are. Does that answer your question, or did I go off on a tangent?
I believe it's not about answering how I want it to be answered. It's about expressing yourself based on the meaning that you've interpreted based on what I asked. So I want you to share your authentic truth, Lou. And I think you did that. And yes, you answered my question perfectly. So with that being said,
I need a lobotomy. I sometimes forget what you asked. Oh, I'm going off on a tangent.
Well, it's called staying present. And I was going to say, that's what nature does for me, is it takes me into my now. It takes me into a state of awe. So I feel presence, I feel awe, I feel humble, I feel connected, I feel like anything is possible. I feel like everything is interdependent. It's incredible. There's something about being in nature. That's why I love going to Colorado and being in
lovely.
waterfalls and rivers and mountains and pine trees and just epic views. It takes me where I want to be. I feel like I'm at home. And Jane agrees. She says nature heals. The sea, sun, trees, flowers vibrate on a level that is grounding. Jane, you go, Jane. She's on it right now. But yeah, nature is something super profound. So next thing, Lou.
Okay.
You are a coach. You are a part of a movement, as we call the purpose first movement, is putting your purpose first in everything you do, helping others transform from the inside out, and really being on those front lines. I mean, in the business world, I mean, you're offering this abundant value to people, right? And my question is, why do you think that matters? Like, why does it matter being a coach? Why does it matter pushing the edge of transformation in the world? Why are we doing this?
Well, of course, there's my own, okay, so I think I'm really a person, I'm pretty individualistic. I don't take authority very well. I have been self-employed for as long as I can remember. When I was very young, I remember seeing my parents' friends coming back from work, light off a cigarette, chuck alcohol down them. They felt really heavy to me. I could sort of feel pain around these people, and suited and booted up, I was just the misery. And I just thought, I don't want that. I do not want to live that life. I wanted to help them, and I used to take my parents' friends down in the basement where we lived, and I'd teach them dance, and and I loved music. So I suppose because I danced really young, that the kind of the joy of that is so, it really lifts you from that density. And I think I've just been a light chaser my whole life, lightening up and lighter. So it's this just huge innate desire for freedom in me, but also an innate sense of knowing that our pristine sovereign state is one of autonomy and power and love and joy and freedom. But we've come so far away from that it's been a challenge for me, because I've had that inside me for so long that, it's only really now that, a lot of the structures and a lot of the ways that people are living their lives is, what's great is the internet has allowed this sort of 4-day working week. People can be self-employed. They can set up a business online. They can, be self-employed. They say that, by 2020, something like 80% of people are going to be, is that 2020? I don't know where I read that, but, that I do see that, our own capacity to generate wealth for ourselves and independently, away from the kind of controlling, nail it down contractual structures of things like, big organizations, even phone organizations. I think it's all coming to, people don't want to kind of just chuck their money at and feel really pinned down by, their working life. So, this is, for me, this is why I've become, I don't call myself a coach as such, but I think the coaching industry it's symbolic of the expansion of the brain, the magnetic field of the brain expanding the same way the planetary magnetic fields are expanding. It's an expanding of consciousness. And so coaches can lead the way, good ones, and people that are really, really stepping forward. So for me, it's not the only thing I do, and I paint as well, but ow, I've got cramp in my leg. It's a very natural way for me to explore consciousness and share what I've learned. A natural thing of sharing, because I think that prior to this sort of very masculine age that we have, that is what life is. If you are love, then you share that. You don't have to buy it off someone as such, or you don't have to trade. I'm not saying that money is wrong. I'm saying that the way that we interface with money has come very much from, holding and grasping and
scarcity
Scarcity consciousness, that it's lost, the real natural state of wholeness is that, if you think of love giving birth to individuated rays of love, it wouldn't deny us anything. So we have everything. So if we have everything, what are you going to do with it? Share it.
So a money exchange could be an experience where we both share from a place of overflow. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Well, that's beautifully put. I didn't put it like that, but I might borrow that.
Please, I'm happy to share in abundance.
I'll coin that.
But it's true. I look at business as an opportunity to create beautiful exchanges.
Yes.
Of people sharing from a place of overflow, getting to say I love you, and the person giving money in return saying I love you too. And I really believe that's what business can be. And that's what it is at its best. It's I'm here to serve you, to help you, to unblock, to help in your journey. And then they're saying, I'm here to help you in your journey. And it's just this beautiful experience. And I was like, I'm really glad that this is a thing in our world, because this system, yes, it's messed up in a lot of ways and there's bad actors. But at the end, I think we're getting to a point where it's becoming positive impact and then saying, I love you for helping me in return. And that's the new consciousness of capitalism, I believe.
Well, it's, that's streaming out of you. As I hear that's streaming out of you creating that reality.
Yeah.
Create in your own personal universe. You can see that and be your own pioneer in creating that. I believe, similar, we create our own economy. So the how of that is, based on what you value. And I value my freedom. I value the light, the consciousness of love and light. I don't think it's something separate from material reality. It's who we are, all are at source. And, that's what makes me feel real. I'm not saying I wouldn't ever work for anyone else ever again, but, unless that consciousness, unless I'm met with that, I just feel like I feel dampened. Do you know what I mean? I feel constrained and restricted. Yeah. And I just get, antsy. People who want to control me. I don't like it.
That's not a natural state. Controlling others is not a natural state.
Absolutely not. I think I don't want to control, and I don't want to be controlled.
Both sides feel tension. Both sides feel tension. And I didn't realize this, but in my I've had a lot of leadership experience in my life, in college, soccer, athletics, high school, you name it. I've had a lot of leadership stuff. And I think at one point in my past, I didn't realize this, but I was attempting to change and control people. And because I wanted what was best for them. And I knew if we could all just do this, everything would be okay. But I realized that's not really leadership. And the moment I released and surrendered control is when my influence skyrocketed. And I stepped out of judgment. I stepped out of control. And I stepped out of the tension and into connection and into inspiration and into love and liberation and into creation. And it was incredible. It was a total life force shift in my life. It was huge.
I mean, it is. That is, fantastic.
I'm really glad it happened.
Yeah. Well, it's such a pressure, isn't it? If you feel like you've got to control everything and everyone around you, where's that coming from? It's coming from fear. It's coming from a sense of lack of control. And, one of the techniques that I do, I mean, both the girls that are following right now would know that, when you let go of holding on to something, paradoxically, when you let go of that grip of control, you find that you go back to your innate state is that you do have control, but it's not zealous megalomania control. It's like you're part of divinity. Why would you not have control over yourself? Why would you not have control of your life and creating your life from a state of sovereignty? So it's power, but without coercion or force or manipulation, appeasement or compromise or sacrifice. that's none of that. So that whole separation energy that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Those dynamics. So let's say you want control over something because basically you feel fear. If you don't have the control, then something's going to be taken away from you. And what will happen to you when that happens? And then what happens when that happens? And it's all come from a reductionist sense of I'm destitute and I'm powerless and I'm helpless. And there's like, get in control. And that isn't true. But we're so, the first stages of, if you're not born into an enlightened family, and I don't know anyone who is, then, our parents teach us from that base level of, it's fear with love. It's not that parents are lacking in love. It's just that they're conditioned into that fear. Right. So you've got to break the constraints of your lineage, break the constraints of the conditioning, go to your own base level fear and deconstruct it. And you don't do that overnight. Well, if you do, bless you. I'm really, I'm bloody coveting that. Excuse my language.
Is bloody a cuss word? I don't know. We don't use that word over here. So
sorry.
I like it. No, I like the word.
No, you don't use it. You don't actually. You use other words that we don't. Yeah.
Is that good? Is that that's bloody
coveting. It is very English. It's got everything's got its place. I said it as a sort of what's the word, expressivity, because as I said, we're all pleasure driven, and so we want the freedom, we want the total.
Have you ever heard of Neil Donald Walsh?
Yes.
Okay, I just entered into his universe yesterday.
Oh, really?
And the guy's been blowing my damn mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one?
Well, I've just been watching some of his Mind Valley videos on YouTube. And you mentioned fear. You said it's fear with love, and like with the parents and all that. And I watched a video and it was fascinating last night. He said that everything is an act of love. And he explained all these terrible things and how they're all acts of love, because it's out of protecting someone we love, out of loving myself, out of I love this thing, I love this. So everything we do is an expression of love. And that's really helped me to not step into judgment, condemnation, disconnection, because I look at someone who's being an asshole or something, right? And I'm like, that's coming from a place of love. Like that's coming from a very divine place, and it's just being expressed in this way because that's all he knows. That's what's in his or her awareness right now. And this is how they're showing up in a very teenage level of the macro of humanity. It's a very like teenage place, but I feel like we're stepping into something higher in terms of our acts of love now. But what do you think about that? It's a while since I read his stuff. I think it's very, to me, very reminiscent of something from Course in Miracles, that it's a call for love. That's the language. Everything is a call for love. If it isn't love, obviously it's a call for love. Yeah, I totally agree. It's very difficult to stomach. Right. But stomaching it is torturing everything.
Someone's torturing someone in the name of love. It's really hard, but these are very existential questions that one has to, you've got to turn it over within yourself. But yes, I totally agree. And sort of on a day-to-day basis and day-to-day level, I do agree with you that if, if you can take that step back, you can see that other people's behavior that, that you don't like is really their call for love. Now, whether you want that in your front room or not,
those are boundaries
thing, and that's discernment. That whole unconditional love for self and others, that's not about you being a doormat.
That can become abusive, right?
Yeah, that's the discernment of abuse is you if you enable abuse, that's down to you, not you personally, but it's down to us. What we tolerate and what we accept. Actually, when you say no, you're helping that person realize that even if they don't realize that they're being abused, you're putting that boundary up so that they can't affect you. That's down to you. So, all of that discernment it takes time, because I think that when people start to get into the whole spiritual journey, or the journey of self-awareness, you know, you might go down the route of Buddhism or what have you, and that whole unconditional forgiveness thing, it turns a lot of people into real flatlining, you know, doormats.
Right.
I'm so not the doormat type.
I can tell, Lou. I can tell. You're a strong woman. And I would say too that love, I think sometimes love is perceived as I'm always nice or everything is always fun and easy and positive. Love is often my most profound experiences of love are the most people saying no, and me experiencing pain, me choosing to enter a uncomfortable situation because I love myself or because I love the other. And love is sometimes a messy, gruesome thing. And it doesn't have to be positive, like happy-go-lucky all the time.
Definitely.
All right, let's get into...
I'm trying to think of an example I can give on that, but I mean...
Let me read some of these and you can think here.
Oh, okay.
Jane says, Lou is a facilitator to lead the way in light.
Oh.
Write that one down. Rodney, who is a Tai Chi master and a friend of mine, nature heals. It's amazing. However, it's something in us must allow it truth. If two people sat at the beach, one can say, I feel this is good for me. And the other person can say, I don't feel anything. We also must surrender to nature. We'll also must surrender to nature in us. Then we get connected. Yeah, it's that beautiful both and relationship, because nature will always be there. It will always be divine. It will always be truth. It will always be epic and amazing. But it's whether I'm open to receiving that or not.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, that happened to me a few years ago. Somebody came down, and somebody I knew from London, because I moved back down to Cornwall 2013. And, you know, I was very stressed when I got here, and it took me a while to just be able to really relax on the beach. And so, you know, 2 or 3 years into that period since 2013.
Where do you live, Lou?
Cornwall. In the UK, south, right by the sea. It's glorious. And they couldn't relax, you know. And it's very uncomfortable because it's, you know, on the beach you don't want to talk. I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to look at the waves. No. And I want to look at. Oh, I do. Talk.
I want to talk to you on the beach.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll take my Zoom thing down on the beach. But do you know what I mean? It's like, it's so beautiful. It's so majestic. It's a full experience. But, you know, yeah, you're absolutely right that, you know, people I think have become so denatured. It's well, not people, I mean some people, and yes,
right.
And they're allowed to be as they are, and we're allowed to be as we are. You know, that whole no judgment thing.
So it's so much fun. It makes life way more enjoyable.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's so freeing. Oh my God, I feel it right now. I'm just like, woo.
It's literally like taking you know, a stone and a half of weight that you're carrying, because it's such a binding force. To have to be constantly having an opinion or a judgment about stuff. And, you know, you can catch yourself and you feel like when you kind of let yourself off the hook, it's so liberating to just, I don't have to think about that. I don't have to think about that and that person doing that and making things go wrong in my life. That's just a project. That's my projection onto them. And I project and expect things to go wrong, and then I can judge it and blame it, and then you just withdraw your hook out of it, literally. With
wow.
You know, the letting go, you take your hook out of it.
Yeah.
And therefore that whole configuration of what you projected can collapse and change, because you are not putting your energy into something that's actually, it's self-sabotage, isn't it?
Yeah, that's something I've engaged in for sure as a human being.
Oh, we all do.
I know, and but that's a part of the juiciness of the human experience. I get to enter into the darkness and learn about myself. I get to enter into all the mushy gushy messiness and find out what's true. I get to see my light, and I've really fallen in love with all of the human experience. A couple of days ago, I was feeling really negative and off. And I remember being like, oh, wow, this is really cool. I get to experience this right now. And it was so...
That's gung-ho.
Yeah. it was nuts. Like
no, it's okay. But then when you have enough presence inside you, if you have enough expanded light inside you that's expanded, then when something does come up, whether it's a depression or a low mood or, shit happens, that you come towards it with a very different, you're different. Your whole energy, your light is different. So how you respond to it is going to be quicker. You can move through it quicker because you're conscious. But it's all part of the journey. And the whole thing about you saying about judgment, we don't have to judge how idiotic we were when we're kind of in that very contracted space. It takes as long as it takes and not a moment sooner. And it's an eternal journey anyway, so we're not going to graduate.
That reminds me of Eckhart Tolle. He said to Oprah on Super Soul Sunday that they're talking about regret, and he said I have a choice. Do I attach to the past and regret what I did with what I knew and what I had?
Yeah.
Or do I stay in the present and be grateful that I now have that new awareness? I now have that new knowing. I now have that new clarity on how I want to live now, and just be thankful I went through the shit and went through the struggle to get to this point. Because without the mistakes, I wouldn't have this new awareness. So he was saying I could be attached to the past, or I could be grateful for it, detach, and live in the present. And it was really profound. And I've been using that example, and people are really shocked by it because I think attachment to the past is so easy to do.
I agree. I use a similar but a different metaphor. I hope this is not too irreverent, but the people that have worked with me know this, is that when we first incarnate, we're like puppies and we shit everywhere because we don't know any different. And then we train, we get trained, and then eventually we're adult dogs, and we don't mess on other people's carpets. And you can't fast forward puppy into
right.
Dog. But look how lovable puppies are. So I think we can look back with a sort of fondness, really. But we all screw up, and then we kind of stop doing that. But that's got nothing to do with age.
No, not at all.
Nothing to do with age.
I don't think much has to do with age.
Nothing to do with age.
Personally.
No.
I agree with that. So what about that on the macro, in terms of the history of humanity and the mistakes and missteps we've made along the way? And let's apply that same metaphor. So, I mean, slavery was very much a thing in Western society. And that was where they were at that time with their current moral structure. So, like, how does what we're talking about apply to that in comparison to where we are now? Does that same metaphor apply?
What about non-judgment?
About the idea of that's where I was in my past, and like the puppy compared to the adult.
Yes, definitely. Although it's, the legacy of enslavement lives on, genetically very much. I think the lineage is carried forward. That's why there is, so much rising up really against any kind of persecution, racism, or all the other atrocities that are prevalent in the here and now. Is that I think that the memory genetically is very much ingrained in people's physicality and in their sort of their memory, not their sort of immediate memory, but the kind of carried through. And there is a lot to come to terms with in terms of being able to forgive the past, because the current disparities between lineages that have been persecuted and are trying to get back up onto the egalitarian level is that it's still massively, massive cosmic rifts between, the have and the have-nots, and, fairness and injustice. There's still a long way to go. Now, this is a tricky area because, I've been talking about, sovereignty of self, and sovereignty of self if you've got that in your lineage, that's a heavy duty number to start to come to terms with, if you're carrying that sense of persecution inside of you. But I have to stay with where I feel, and in 5 years or tomorrow I might change my mind, but this is what I feel, is that I still hold by that we have our own soul, and our soul has created and experienced those lifetimes as individuals, whatever we were in any other lifetime, whether we were persecuted or a perpetrator. We've probably been it all, and I know we've been it all. But there's this sense of I allowed this because I can, because I'm an individuated ray of divinity. I can create outside of divinity. I can create with not love. I can miscreate. And I think it is an expression of miscreation that is the same core issue of self-rejection and separation. Separation, denial of self as love, moving into fear, moving into control, moving into domination, and moving into, massive controlling abuse of others. So it's sort of, when you squish it all down, it comes down to the same thing. But I also feel like, people get to this place of taking total responsibility when they're ready. I remember, I think it was, I can't remember the actor's name now. He was talking about a racist issue, and he just said, it'll collapse when we stop having to talk about it. I do think there's a huge amount going on where people are very much on the defense over language, and not really tuning into someone who's saying something they don't actually mean to be racist or judgmental or anything. It's just that's not even where they're coming from. It's just something that they're saying, and people are very much caught up with language and words. And personally, it's just like I go beyond that. I don't so much hear what they say as to sense what they mean, and I think that is a sign of our ability to really be in tune with energy, that we don't want to perpetuate unnecessary chasms now in the modern world, just getting on the high horse of whether there's a particular part of society that they just misuse the language, and there's been no offense intended, but offense is taken. And that's why I say, when people have got that behind them and it hasn't been resolved within themselves, I think it makes people very reactive. And understandably so, and it's a process. And in many respects, I think Earth is like a massive smorgasbord of very, 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 very complex levels of consciousness. And we're all going to go through all of it, maybe many times. So in that respect, we don't, that it's hard to see, but it is still going on. And when all people take responsibility, it will all collapse. But I don't have some utopian view that it's all going to suddenly go into ascension and we're all going to be whoopee-doo. That's not what I think. But I do think that there is. It would be great if it did. But I do think there is a massive momentum of people like you and I connecting and feeling that there is another level of reality. And we're creating, like I said earlier, we create our own economy, we create our own reality, but it's not and it's still in our 3D dimension, but it's all one, it's all lined up in one. Does that make sense?
Completely. I agree. And I think that's why, as someone who's watching right now, Jenny, she talks about how we need the new Michelangelos and Da Vinci's to teach the new alphabets and create the new inventions, the new tools for the masses to grasp this higher dimension or this new realm or this new structure.
That's
We
lovely.
Yeah,
Yes.
we
Bring it
we
on.
isn't that amazing? That was
Yeah,
our
bring
her
it
and I's
on.
second conversation, and it was incredible. It was all based around that, and it was like 3 hours. It was incredible.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it's about intention. So when I see like all the craziness in the media or the craziness in the politics and all that kind of stuff, all I see is intention. So am I seeking to defend and
Yeah.
condemn, or am I seeking to connect and understand and love? And I think that's the difference. So I believe what could heal the planet is everyone stepping out of judgment, stepping out of condemnation, and stepping into unconditional love. And that means for other, and for self. So holding boundaries as well.
Yes.
And if we can step into and the guy, Neil Donald Walsh, said, forgiveness, the master knows forgiveness as understanding.
Yes.
So I don't even need to forgive anymore. It's more understanding. So that's why I'm always seeking, like, if I don't agree with someone, or I'm having I'm getting defensive and a trigger's coming up, I always go, how is that person right? Or why are they thinking the way they are? What are they feeling? Or what's causing them to look at it the way they do? Or what experience have they gone through that I haven't, that's making them think that way? And it just takes all of the nastiness, as you were saying in your when you signed up for the episode, the nastiness out of my perspective on others. I don't look at them as fools or demons or any of that kind of stuff. It's more of they're humans and they're vulnerable and they're acting as from love or a call for love in everything they do. And really, if we can just embrace that and stop like fighting hate with hate and all that kind of stuff, I feel like it could really transform the world in a very practical way.
Well, I think you're definitely talking about, the collective universes, the way that our personal universes collide. Yes, definitely. I also know that, the more you make that your own intention to see that, that your personal orbit is the perfect sign and signature and symbols that of what's going on deep inside yourself, where yourself, your core self, and the parts of you, the fragmented fractals that have split off, is where you kind of disconnected from them, and the tension between the two, where you've self-rejected, that gets played out by those people in your life. And collectively, they teach as well. But I think collectively, because different aspects of our orchestra are functioning and playing different instruments, so they're at different levels of consciousness, you allow that, that's okay. And they allow you, and that's okay. And in its own way, because it's okay and it's allowed, it has its own kind of intelligence. You have an understanding there. And then the more cosmic or bigger collective is, let me think this through a minute.
Yeah.
It's like sort of intersection of Venn diagrams. It has other aspects of teaching, multi-dimensional ways of teaching. When you see other, the global shifts and the bigger changes that are occurring in consciousness, you see, when there's definitely a movement in terms of the coaching industry is the second largest industry, burgeoning industry in the US. That tells you a lot, doesn't it?
I didn't know that.
The whole movement that we've got going on with the rise of the feminine, the language around that and the consciousness of the divine feminine, as it applies to men as well, not just women. That's big. That's big on this new languages. We've got the shifts that are coming in terms of female power in power stations across each country. The women have more of a say, or fighting for more of a say. And it's all, of course, it's all connected. And I agree with what you're saying totally. I think but personally, the stuff that I've always sort of studied and agreed that, until you change yourself really profoundly within, I think you dance with your external reality in a totally different way when you really start to work with yourself deep within. So much realization comes to you. It comes to you. You know, you're not going to get it off the news. You're not going to get it off Google. It's going to come to you.
The world needs to hear that shit, Lou. We need to get this out. We need to get this out to the people.
Okay.
We need to get this out. Let me read some of these. People are chiming in with some epic stuff here. Surely, I feel that the true meaning of abundance is exactly that. Sharing from love, and money is simply an expression of it. Yep, love that.
Yeah.
So freeing and empowering, she says. Jenny says, when I find myself white knuckling something, it's usually me trying to control something outside myself.
Yeah.
Ooh, which is like coming from something out of control within the self.
Yeah.
Jane, expression of love can only come from innocence, no ego. The innocence. I like that. Shirley, sometimes the way to be kind is being truthful from love to the other person. That's what we're saying. Love can be messy and painful. I agree so much. Okay, Shirley, beautiful place. I think she's talking about Cornwall. I think I said it right that time.
Come on down,
yeah.
Cheryl.
I'm coming to Cornwall. Where is this?
Good.
Yeah, I haven't done a Euro trip yet. So
right.
Every American needs to do a Euro trip.
Yeah.
I believe in that. All right, Jane, it is the most beautiful place. Oh, she loves it too.
Yeah.
All right, what else? Jane, the question I have always had, why is the human race all on different levels? Agendas, she says. So why does everyone have at different energy spaces? And I would bet from knowing you or hearing you over the last hour and a half, we've been going. I intentionally kept this going because it was so powerful. Is that it has to do with past lives and the genetic code, and we're coming into this life in a different part of the journey, all of us.
Well, I don't know where I read this somewhere. I do think this is prime real estate. Earth it is the melting pot of very, very different levels. It's got every opportunity for full, complete realization, from the human to the divine in form. And so it's okay that there are different things going on. And what we've got in our very personal reality is ours to be responsible for. I've just written this in a post, actually, that taking responsibility is not a denial that, there's massive suffering and huge pain in another part of the world. But when you get caught up of that and deny that, or I'm saying, take responsibility, there is no such thing as victimhood. We create the dynamic of victimhood through self-rejection. So when that plays out and someone is suffering over the other side of the planet, if you're in your head, you're going to think, well, no child desired to be brutalized, but you're in your head. And until you've got inside yourself and inside your soul and asked your soul yourself why you have ever suffered, you cannot possibly know why a child in another part of the world has suffered or is suffering, because you don't know that child's agenda as a soul. We think that children are innocent. They are ancient souls in tiny baby bodies.
That just sounds really funny.
So you don't know what that child is going through. You don't know what it's trying to teach anyone else. You don't know. So we get very caught up and very righteous about it, but we don't know. Well, and I don't know why I know that, but I know that I know that.
You sound like Neil. He says that a lot. Yeah.
He's got lots of white hair.
No, you're beautiful.
Oh no, I mean, I can't unknow what I know, and I just know that, and it's for me, it's like I can't bear to watch pain and suffering. Does it affect me deeply? Mm-hmm. But, and it's not that I don't want to help, but I know what I'm here to do, and I know what I can help and who I can help, and I hope that becomes, for me, that's why I'm doing this today. Is if this is the fabulous thing about the internet, you know, because we can record this, we can disseminate it. That it's a way to express and to share and to learn in a way that we could never have done. You know, I wouldn't necessarily have done this on my own volition. I mean, I've done webinars and stuff like that, but this is the great thing that we've got available to us that allows us to share and come to peace. You know, that if it's the right thing for someone to do, to get up and help someone who's suffering, it's the right thing to do. But it's not the right thing for everyone to do that all the time. And if you do not work with your own trauma, if you do not work with yourself and heal yourself, you just become a wounded healer the whole time. And actually the energy of that is not great.
Wounded healer.
I can smell it a mile off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's powerful. Well, I've often felt that coaches are always on the same journey that they're taking people through. And for me as a coach, I don't want to say I've done all the work. I've completely healed myself. I am the all-knowing.
No, and I don't mean that either. I don't mean that either.
I didn't know you did. I'm just providing a reflection.
Yeah.
And what I found is it's really about walking shoulder to shoulder with people and saying, let's do this together. You want to come with me? I'll walk with you. And going on that healing journey together. And that's been liberating for me as well. Of now my intention is clear. I'm on a journey and I want to bring people with me.
Yes.
So
yeah,
powerful.
me too.
Okay, Lou. So
thank you.
We're about to hit 90 minutes here, which has been.
I know what we do.
Yeah. This is the longest episode ever.
I'm sorry.
Show. No.
We got plenty to say.
This is a celebration.
I could do another 9 hours, but I might need a lie down. Point.
Gotta go from here. we could keep going, you know, just lay it down. But I have 2 more questions to ask you.
Okay.
Maybe 3, but two for now. Who is one person, one coach that you know that has a message to share, that needs to be heard, that you want to have a conversation with me on this show?
Oh, someone else I would like to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Shirley. Yeah.
Let's tango. All right.
You there, Shells?
If she's still here, let us know, Shirley. If she's still here with us. I mean, she lasted 90 minutes, then she's definitely coming on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, how about this? Can you do a message with us 3 together, and we'll connect and do that? I'd love to celebrate her. So tell me, why do you think she needs to be on the show?
Well, Shells and I trained. We did some training together years back. I've known Shirley a long time. I know that Shirley is a really good being, and you know, well, I mean, I've got to be careful what I say, you know, but she's real, she's kind and strong and sensitive and a really good friend to me. And I never knew you were going to answer this question. So this is like my first, you know, thing. And
throwing you off a little bit.
Yeah, she's great. She helped me.
Okay, Shirley it is. She's in. I'm looking forward to that. I'm really excited. The next question is, if there was one knowing that could be brought into the awareness of every being on Earth, what would you want that to be?
It takes as long as it takes.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. And for interpretation, I'm going to dwell.
Yeah, it takes as long as it takes to get us through to reach home. You know, we know home. Of course we know it. And we go all off on these deviations, explorations, different lifetimes. And I think the momentum builds when you know you're on that direct journey. I think the momentum builds, but it takes as long as it takes, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a trust in that, a faith in that, a surrender in that, a freedom in that, a release of tension, a lack of judgments. I think there's so much juicy stuff in what you just said. So
thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Lou.
And you.
last question. Would you like to be a part of our Facebook community? I forgot to add you before the show, so.
Oh, I think I liked your personal page. So yes, of course.
Beautiful. Yes, it's called the Purpose Sphere, and it's for coaches like you. So we'd love to have you. I'll invite you in. And then finally, do you have any final words about how your energy is, how you're feeling? Because you went live, you were spontaneous, you spoke your truth. We had a 90-minute deep dive into all things that matter in our lives. So any final words or thoughts or feelings?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, Thomas. It's really helped me kind of just realize that it's very, I think in sort of, when you go live or you go and do a talk and everything, the whole apprehension that can build around, not so much how people will receive you, but, will I be fluent? Will I be able to say what I mean? Will I be, will I just be articulate instead of stumbling over my words? And, you can set the intention that this can be a great experience. I set my intention, this is going to be a great experience. We'd be really natural and relaxed. And it's just been exactly how I wanted it to be. And I'm really proud of what we've done together today. So really thank you very much, Thomas, and thank you very much, everyone, for listening.
Yes, I fully received that, Lou, and I agree. Jane's still with us, and she says thank you with the prayer hands, or some call it high five, but I think it's the prayer hands. And Lou, to reflect on that, your presence and the way you spoke, it felt very just coming from a place. It wasn't this pre-recorded anything. It was very natural. So to reflect to you, I think your intention was fully aligned with the experience. And I'm really thankful that you came on the show. I'm glad I typed something on your post about emotional maturity. And,
yes, that was great, wasn't it?
That was amazing. That blew my mind. And it's amazing that there aren't strangers, just future friends. And I really believe in that. We're all just to have an inspired interaction to realize that there is a connection and there is love. So today was that, Lou, and that's how I feel.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course. Well, I will add you to the group. And if anyone else is a purpose-driven coach that is using business as a force for good, transforming people from the inside out, join us in our worthy movement. And I'll put the link in the comments below to join our Facebook group, because we want as many awesome life changers as we can to be a part of our movement. Lou, also, we're creating something called the Purpose Sphere Summit, and it's going to be early next year. It's a gathering of purpose-driven people using their gift to serve others and transforming them from the inside out. So I want you to be there.
Is that online?
It'll be in person.
Oh, where?
Oh, yeah.
Florida.
I don't, maybe, okay. Maybe Florida, maybe Colorado, maybe somewhere
Cornwall.
else. Maybe Cornwall. Yes. Right by the ocean.
Oh, great.
So I want to let you know and bring that into your awareness, because
thank you. Yeah.
It's going to be the most intentional, meaningful, powerful experience. And everything is going to be so aligned. And it's a dream of mine to bring this to life, and to gather people like you would be just amazing. Like, I'm picturing it now and I'm ecstatic about it. So
God, that sounds great. Yeah, definitely.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, Lou. Yes. Well, with that, when I end the Zoom, it's going to end the live, and it's going to end our conversation. So much love for you. And I'll send you I'll add you to the group, and then let's do that conversation with Shirley. Okay.
Okay, then. And can you send the Zoom link to me, or the Zoom recording to me?
Yeah, I'll download it and then I'll upload it to Google Drive and send you a Google Drive link.
Fabulous. Work? Either way, what would you? Yeah, Google Drive is fine. Yeah, or Dropbox, whatever. That's lovely.
Okay, so all the technology, I'll figure it out.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you.